say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Love that guy. All right, let's go ahead and get into it, everybody. Okay, hey everybody, welcome back to another live stream. Thank you all so much for joining me. Oh, I love that. I had to show it. I've never played that on the show before, but man alive, that guy is so bloody talented. Love that guy. Well, welcome everybody. So if you're new here, I want to welcome you. If you're a returning guest, thank you so much for all your support and for coming back. Be sure to hit the subscribe button, hit the like button and the notification bell. That way you're notified every time a new video is released. Very, very important to do that. And it helps me stay, if you share it, it helps me get outside the YouTube algorithm. That's a really important piece of it. So I had to start off with something motivational, but I've got to start off with a little bit of comedy as well before we get into the big news, because we'll give you a quick recap of what we're going to talk about. How about that? The Mexican drug cartels, you saw it on the thumbnail, but Donald Trump has now officially declared them terrorist organizations. We'll go through the ones that he has officially classified as terrorist organizations and some of the implications of that. Then we got to talk about DOGE. You guys know that I'm going to talk about DOGE at some point in time, and the Social Security fraud that they have found. It's wild, but now there's some talks of what are we going to do with this money? So how do we spend this money? We'll go over that. We'll go over, we'll see a little bit of Trump and Musk in the White House. We'll talk about the, Kash Patel and him moving forward. We'll talk about the anti-cop militant that's getting a $7.65 million settlement. The House proposing a $2 trillion spending decrease and getting the Trump tax cuts back in line. And we're going to talk about some other cultural stuff as well. We're probably going to hit the issue with the airplanes and all these crashes that we've been having out of the blue. So lots and lots and lots of great stuff to talk about. But thank you for being here. So let's hit something funny first. How about that? I like to kick it off with a laugh, because if we lose our humor, that we talk about serious stuff all the time, I try to lace in a little bit of comedy, some of the funny stuff that's out there. And this is a comedian who, I don't know if you've seen this guy or not, but the point he makes is so applicable to today. I can't think of anything better. So let's listen to this real quick.
Just don't understand, how do you not believe in any conspiracy theories? I understand not all of them, not most of them, but you don't believe in any conspiracy theories? You just think the government's just batting 1,000 and telling us the whole truth? That's a strong stance to take. And again, as I said before, I don't like talking about politics on stage or off stage. I don't like talking about things I don't feel like I'm truly knowledgeable in. But I do know this. Our government is placed in charge of all of its people. I'm a father who's been placed in charge of just one son. And I lie to that all the time.
Oh, this is true. You know, this is where they've had to go with politics is, oh, it's all conspiracy theory. That's a conspiracy theory. This is a conspiracy theory that when the government has got massive and rampant fraud, waste, and abuse, it's a conspiracy theory. Oh, that's ridiculous. That's just silly. But yeah, the government's not batting 1,000. You guys know that. I know that. Man alive. Pretty funny. Pretty funny. So we had to start off with something humorous. Okay, let's go ahead and get into Donald Trump talking about the Tren de Aragua gang. So this is official now. And so this is breaking that, let's see, here we go. U.S. State Department under President Trump has officially designated the following as foreign terrorist organizations: Tren de Aragua, MS-13, Sinaloa Cartel, Jalisco New Generation Cartel, the United Cartels, Northeast Cartels, Gulf Cartels, Macoa, I don't know how to pronounce that one, family. So it is now official. And what does that mean? Well, that means that the president has certain, he's got the option to use certain levers of power, military power, to go after terrorist organizations. You look at what we've been doing in Syria and other countries around, halfway around the globe that most people don't even know we're involved in, but we're still dropping bombs on them. We're still wrecking terrorist organizations and, trying to take out the leaders of Al Qaeda or the leaders of Hamas or the leaders of Hezbollah or whatever. And that is well within the limits of presidential power. However, I'm not necessarily a proponent of that because, in my opinion, that's just a continuation of the 25-year war that we've been in and that we were supposed to have exited, but we keep doing it. It's these drone wars. I'm not a fan of the drone wars. However, for the cartels, and I believe that this is because those folks aren't actively they're actively conspiring against America and they're the enemies of America. Got it. But we're not in active combat with them. The cartels, it's a completely different story because that has been the trigger for the invasion or one of the major levers of the invasion across our southern border. And therefore, I am, plus they're killing hundreds of thousands of Americans every year with fentanyl. So am I necessarily concerned about getting in a drone war with the Mexican cartels? I am, because these are monstrous corporations, essentially. They have billions upon billions of dollars at their disposal. But do I think it could be a strategic thing where we can go in and start hitting some of these large fentanyl labs or where they're cooking up these drugs and weaken the cartels? I don't necessarily think it's a bad thing. Similarly, he can leverage special forces in those instances. So whether that's the SEALs or Army SF or Delta, whoever it happens to be, he can pull those levers as well to try and weaken an organization that is costing the lives of hundreds of thousands of Americans. Do I think that's a bad thing? No, I really don't think that it is. And I wrestle back and forth because, like I say, I try to be consistent in that I don't like drone wars. But when it's right at our border, that's a different story. That's a different animal. That's a different thing. So this is just in, and I included these. Of course, the photo I used was a Grok AI image, but nonetheless, we've got the United States MQ-9 Reapers currently flying over the skies in Mexico. This is News Nation. Let's listen to what they have to say about it.
We're seeing these Reaper drones quite literally on the hunt in international airspace over in Mexico, looking for the criminal drug cartels and their fentanyl labs. They are ramping up their operations and combating these criminal organizations, something that the president, of course, promises to designate them as a terrorist organization. So these are called MQ-9 Reaper drones, and they're out there carrying out these stealthy, covert missions. And they are not currently armed, but they can be equipped with payloads for precision strikes. The CIA, however, has not been authorized to use these drones to take lethal action, officials told the New York Times, adding that they do not envision using these drones to conduct airstrikes. For now, the CIA officers in Mexico are passing information that is being collected by these drones to Mexican officials. They are adamant about finding these fentanyl labs, dismantling them, which apparently emit chemicals that make them easier to find from the air. And that's why they are doing this from the air with these drones, because of that access. Now, the CIA has reportedly flown surveillance drones to hunt cartels inside Mexico before, partnering with Mexican authorities. But here's the deal. With the more recent flights that were communicated to Congress, they were actually under the Trump administration using a particular notification that's reserved for new or updated covert programs that the CIA intends either to conceal or deny. That is what a source familiar with the matter said, adding that the notifications made no mention of Mexican partners this time around. So we talked with Darren Gobb. He is a geopolitical strategist, a U.S. Army veteran, and a former Black Hawk pilot about the CIA's covert drone missions in Mexico. Take a listen to what he said.
For the most part, I do not want to see America trounce on its own constitution and just invade a foreign nation without a well thought out concept of how you get there, and having the people of this nation accept the risk through Congress to do something. Now, I'm not saying that we would decide to, quote, invade Mexico, but if you're crossing the border into a foreign country with the U.S. military forces intent on accomplishing something like that, that looks a lot like an invasion. And you've just changed the situation significantly.
Okay. A couple of points.
Now, Nicole,
a couple of points about this. He's saying that if we fly the drones, if we do these drone missions into Mexico, then this looks like an invasion. However, we have been doing it in other foreign countries for the past 25 years, countries that we are not at war with. I do believe that this has to be done, in my opinion, in conjunction with the government, obviously the government of Mexico. They need to have some sort of awareness to this. But at the end of the day, sorry, I just got a text from my wife. I lose my train of thought. I should have had my notifications turned off. So at the end of the day, this is something that is directly impacting the citizens of America. This is impacting hundreds of thousands it's taking hundreds of thousands of lives, that being the fentanyl crisis coming out of Mexico. But it is impacting hundreds of thousands of families as well. And this has also been the cartels have been a major part of the influx of people, the invasion across our southern border. So if Mexico wants to kowtow to the cartels, that's going to be on them. But we have, I feel, a certain level of leverage with President Trump taking this hardline stance to go after the cartels and at least try to start limiting these sorts of things. But Mexico's going to have to play ball. They're going to have to play ball with this, as well they should. But people I saw actually it was a liberal commentator, and she was another TikToker. And this liberal commentator was saying, you think you're going to go after the drug cartels? Good luck. As if this is it's some benevolent organization. I mean, it was really wild. But all of this stuff, whether it's DOGE or classifying the drug cartels as terrorists or talking about waste, fraud, and abuse, the Democrats are being required to attack some things that are incredibly popular, which we're going to talk about Trump's new approval ratings here in a minute. But it's a wild time. It's a wild time. Okay, so if you've got on board, if you're just on board, I'm looking to see, we've got some folks that have come online. Be sure to hit me up in the comments. Let me know where you all are watching from. Just give me the state. I would love to know. I got some folks from California that commented on the last live stream, and that was really great to know that I've got folks watching this show out on the left coast. It's all right. Keep fighting the good fight, California folks. Okay, so let's go on and start talking about a little bit of DOGE. You guys, if you've been watching this show, I'm such a huge fan of DOGE. But the latest thing that has made its way around is a simple spreadsheet provided by our good friends over at DOGE. And this simple spreadsheet tells us the number of people collecting Social Security by age. And if you'll notice, we're getting into some pretty interesting territory here with 3.6 million people between the ages of 110 and 119. And then you've got some more that are 3.4 million, 120 to 129, 3.9 million that are 130 to 139, 3.5 million that are 140 to 149. Now, I am a biblical man, and I love the Bible, and I know that people live to exceedingly to massive ages. I mean, you could go to Methuselah or Jared, which is the second oldest person in the Bible. These people lived a really long time. We haven't seen that in we haven't seen that in a long time. Let's just cut to it and say that there aren't many 169-year-old people walking around. In fact, there are 0 169-year-old people walking around, and there definitely aren't two people between the ages of 240 and 369 years old. And so this is the fraud, waste, and abuse that we're talking about. This is what DOGE is going after, and this is what the Democrats are really forcing themselves, because it has to be, no Trump no matter what, Trump bad no matter what, that they're having to justify this. And the American people are saying, wait. That I kind of like this. Like I'm okay with this. Why are you guys pushing back on it? And I'm going to show you the approval ratings in a minute. But we're finding billions and billions and billions of dollars. In fact, let me pull up the debt clock, and we're over 100 billion with DOGE. So the DOGE clock is up there at the top left. It's the one in gold. And so we're over 100 billion that has been found. This is it again, y'all. We are 1 day away from a month since Inauguration Day. We're 1 day away from 1 month. We've already found 100 billion, over 100 billion. Much, much more out there. But what are we going to do with all this money? What in the world are we going to do? This is our tax dollars. So we have some options. And this is what they're pitching now. Are we going to get a stimulus check, or are we going to get a refund on all this wasteful money? The things that we're going to, drag shows in Nicaragua or whatever. Are we going to get that money back? And President Donald Trump's new Department of Government Efficiency, which is looking to reduce federal costs, has some Americans wondering if they should expect a stimulus check courtesy of the savings. DOGE, led by Elon Musk, has recommended mass layoffs of the federal government as it means to eliminate $2 trillion yearly in funding from major U.S. agencies. As Americans haven't received stimulus checks en masse since 2021, some are hoping the DOGE cuts could open the door to further payments sent to Americans. Americans online have been urging DOGE to release stimulus checks, with one viral TikTok saying taxpayers could get as much as $8,000 due to the department's federal cuts. Azoria investment firm CEO James Fishback also posted on X that money from DOGE's savings could be sent back to American taxpayers as a DOGE dividend. He said, American taxpayers deserve a DOGE dividend. 20% the money that DOGE saves should be sent back to hardworking Americans as tax refund checks. Fishback said on the social media platform, it was their money in the first place. At $2 trillion in DOGE savings and 78 million tax-paying households, this is a $5,000 refund per household. Wow. With the remaining used to pay down the national debt, at Elon Musk, he said, at Elon Musk, let's do this. This is how we rebuild trust in our government. So I would like to know your all's opinion. Do you all think that they should cut us a check, or just put it all towards the debt? That's my question to you. Leave it down in the comments. Would love to get your thoughts on that, because I teeter. I know that the future of the country is in a really, really, really rough shape. We've got $36 trillion in debt that we have to pay off. And we've got a massive deficit that we're running. We're a long way away from paying off that $36 trillion. But does it make more sense to just say, all right, well, let's, put the money back in the hands of the American people? I think that $5,000, honestly, if I'm being honest, you send $5,000 back to the American people, and that $5,000 is gone in a weekend. Let's be perfectly honest. That's the way most people are going to treat that. It's going to be a new TV. It's going to be new furniture. Some people, it's going to be to pay off some bills. Maybe they'll pay off some debt, which is really, really important as well. But when we think about the long term, I tend to think, no, don't give us a stimulus check. Just take it all and put it towards the debt. But if he says, as this guy was saying, 20%, and then the rest goes to the debt, yeah, I could probably get behind that as well. So I don't know. It just depends. It depends. All I know, and you know this, give me a big thumbs up down in the comments if you agree with this. The government doesn't know how to spend our money. They really don't. This has been an absolute debacle, and it's taken drastic action. Let's hit Donald Trump and Elon. I don't know if you guys saw this, but Sean Hannity had them in the Oval Office, and they were talking about DOGE and America's response to DOGE and all of this. Check this out.
I would think liberals would love the fact that you have the biggest electric vehicle company in the world.
Yeah, I mean, I used to be adored by the left,
Yeah, not anymore.
Less so these days.
He killed that, huh?
I mean, less so.
I really did it.
Well, I mean, this whole sort of like, they call it like Trump derangement syndrome. And I don't, you don't realize how real this is until you can't reason with people. So like I was at a friend's birthday party in LA, just a birthday dinner, and it was like a nice, quiet dinner, and everyone was behaving normally. And I happened to mention, this is before the election, like a month or two before, I happened to mention the president's name. And it was like they got shot with a dart in the jugular that contained like methamphetamine and rabies, okay? And they're like, wow! And I'm like, what is wrong? Guys, like, you just can't have like a normal conversation. Yeah. And it's like they become completely irrational.
And this is very true. And this is even since things are, look, we know that the tariffs, things are going to start to get bad. The Democrats are going to capitalize on that big time. Big time. But a lot of other things have to fall into place before the midterms. That's when things are going to start getting locked up. Really in a year. This is what a lot of the pundits are talking about, and I tend to agree with them, that when you get towards the midterms, people are going to clam up a bit, and they aren't going to want to get as involved. And when you include the price hikes that we're probably going to start seeing due to the tariffs, things are already bad as it is. Leftover, obviously, from the Joe Biden administration, we're seeing prices of eggs. My wife was talking about going out, and she bought eggs, and they were $8 a dozen. I mean, it's absolutely insane. But this is a situation, we're in such a dire circumstance that it is going to be a better before it gets worse scenario. And I'm saying that as somebody who, I ain't rolling in the dough either. So don't anybody ever ever think that. But this is true. This is something that the Democrats are going to capitalize on. We're going to have to fight that. We're going to have to be strong-minded enough to say, okay, fine, this is what you're saying. However, I know that the long-term impacts of Trump's policies are going to help. They're going to be better. Life will improve. And there are reasonable people on the left. I tend to go after the left as complete nut jobs. And I don't know if you've ever seen Caitlin Bennett, but she's a social media personality. She's been out there for quite a long time. And this is an rare instance, where somebody was able to post a reasonable Democrat. And I just thought the conversation was
to you and
worth
tell you not to
sharing
engage with me.
Yeah, I mean, this is incredible, and I'm much more liberal than they are, right?
Yeah,
she's not on our side. She's opposition.
Yeah, but that's exactly what the other people say, right? Don't talk to people because we don't all share the same values. Well, we don't all share the same values, right?
Correct.
But I share the value of freedom of speech.
Correct.
Right? Mm-hmm. And I can talk to her.
Just know she's going to edit it and make you look like a fool.
Well,
I think he's the most reasonable.
Well, you're right. I'm just here providing safety.
I
and
share your
security.
values, but I also believe in dialogue and freedom of speech, okay?
Don't talk to her. She's
Hey, this is freedom of speech. This is why you're here, okay?
Do you appreciate people coming up and telling you that who you can and can't talk to?
Well, I mean, this just shows the hypocrisy for what it is. But there's hypocrisy on both sides.
Yes, yeah.
Don't get me wrong.
Absolutely.
I think this is terrible that Donald Trump is president of the United States. But I have values that transcend politics.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
I have values
Decency.
that right. Mm-hmm. My enemy are the people who suppress other people, right? My people are, and it was interesting that African-American fellow was talking about Jesus, right? Well, when he quoted Jesus, he said, when they asked Jesus about what was the law? What does it mean to? Jesus didn't say just love your neighbor as yourself. Jesus said, love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and all your mind, and love your neighbor as yourself.
Where are the reasonable Democrats out there? That's what I want. Give me more of these people, because our political discourse in this country would be amazing if we had reasonable people on the left. I'm not saying that everybody on the right is all hunky-dory, that everybody on the right is justified in the things that they say and the things that they believe. They can believe them, they can believe whatever they want, and they can say whatever they want. But the most unhinged folks do sit on the left side of the aisle. The anti-free speech people are on the left side of the aisle. And I know that they're not the majority, I don't believe, of people who side on the left, but they are certainly the loudest, and they are certainly the ones that the Democrat Party follows to a T when it comes to policy, when it comes to the way they conduct themselves. So give me some more reasonable people like that guy. Good gracious. good gracious. I just thought it was nice. It was a good interview. I don't like everything that Caitlin Bennett posts necessarily, but that's part of it, right? There's a lot of people on the right that I don't agree with across the board, but there's hardly anybody on the left that I can agree with. Okay. So with that in mind, with I guess kind and soft, that's not the right word to use. What people are really unhinged about is Kash Patel, but he's moving forward. So the Senate took a procedural step Tuesday towards confirming Kash Patel as the FBI director, voting 48-45 along party lines to begin debate on his nomination. The final confirmation vote is expected later this week, and it could be as early as tomorrow. I've been listening to folks. I haven't seen any solid data on when it's actually going to be, but Tim Kennedy had posted he was with Kash Patel, and they were doing the normal, hey, call your senators, make sure you're emailing your senators. Your senators need to be out here, and they need to feel the pressure that you want Kash Patel to get in. But this is one that folks are fighting. The establishment is fighting hard against Kash Patel, and for good reason. For them, for self-preservation is what it is. So Republican senators have expressed strong support for Patel, 44 citing his background as a prosecutor and national security aide in the first Trump administration. They've also praised his commitment to addressing concerns about political weaponization within the FBI and refocusing the agency on its core law enforcement responsibilities. It has become a political organization. We've seen that throughout the years. We've watched the weaponization of the FBI against Trump, against J6 folks, where they had something like 30% of their staff was going after just J6 people. You know, to heck with the other criminals floating around America. No. We need to focus on the 70-year-old lady who walked in for 5 minutes into the Capitol, turned around and left, so that we can make sure we slap a good 18-month prison sentence on her. That's the sort of thing they were focused on, and it is absolutely a political organization. And Kash Patel, he was approached about this, but saying he was going to turn it into a museum of the deep state. The day after he was put, he's not actually going to do that. It made a good line on a podcast. It made for it was a good headline. It was something fun to talk about. It was something fun to say. But the guy is going to start wrecking shop, just like we've done with USAID, just like we've done with these bloated federal organizations. It's one that needs to be stripped down, bare bones. Get all those people that are working in the office in D.C., get them out in the field. If you don't want to go out in the field, you're more than welcome to find another line of work. By all means, go for it. But we are getting closer. And I would say that of all the nominees that Trump has had, Kash Patel he's probably received the most visceral response. Because this guy wants to, they're all disruptors. RFK Jr. disruptor. I've said this before. Tulsi Gabbard disruptor. Pete Hegseth disruptor. Kash Patel is really disruptive, and they don't like it. But as Trump has said, I think it was to Glenn Beck that it's not that he has a few days or that he's got the first 100 days, or excuse me, the first year or 2 years. He says, I've got the first 100 days. Everything has to be in place in the first 100 days. This is why they're moving at such a breakneck speed, and kudos to them. They have had a plan in place, and they are moving at a breakneck speed. We're not even a month in. Tomorrow's a month. I think tomorrow's a month, right? Okay, next story. This is, oh boy. Okay, so let me walk you through this one. DOJ is going to pay a Portland anti-cop militant $7.65. Goodness gracious. $7.65 million over injuries during a 2020 riot outside a federal courthouse after he threw a gas grenade at the police. So an anti-police protester who was injured by a U.S. Marshal during the infamous 2020 riots in downtown Portland will receive $7.65 million settlement from the Department of Justice. Donathan Labella, 30, of Oregon, was left disabled after being shot in the head with a less lethal crowd-control munition while participating in a BLM Antifa riot outside of the federal courthouse in downtown Portland. Wait. I thought these were mostly peaceful. Aren't these mostly peaceful protests? No, wait a second. Hang on. Let me read further. Federal authorities said Labella had thrown a gas grenade at police officers. What? No. Which prompted law enforcement to fire additional rounds into the crowd. One of those rounds accidentally struck Labella directly on his forehead, causing him to sustain a traumatic brain injury. He was left with a condition called frontal lobe syndrome, which affects cerebral function such as speech and social behaviors, according to the complaint. Well, you know what? You're throwing gas bombs at police officers. You are part of a militant wing of the Democrat Party that was burning down a city, and you got away without getting shot. That should be a win enough. But they say, no, we have to pay this guy $7.65 million. Look, this has a cooling effect on police officers. And if you think about this, the guy shooting a less than lethal round, so presumably this was a beanbag round that they fired. And if you've ever seen them, it's goes in a 12 gauge, but it's a beanbag. When it hits somebody, Johnny Knoxville took one to the stomach in the Jackass series of TV shows. I don't know if you guys have seen that one, but they shoot a beanbag round. It's not meant to take someone out completely, to shut their lights out. But what it does, it is a wicked thing to get hit with. I've never been hit with one, but I have seen it as like anybody else can. You can look it up on the internet. But you're supposed to aim to chest level, and who knows what position this guy was in. Well, he caught one in the forehead. Obviously not intentional, but he still gets this huge settlement out of it. When police officers are we're in 2025, in 2026, when Antifa and BLM take to the streets again for whatever reason to try to disrupt what Donald Trump is doing, to try to shift the public focus over to their activism, and they start burning down cities again, police are going to say, okay, look, I'm going to get in trouble. The city's going to get sued if I take any lethal action. Well, what's the best thing to do? Well, let's just do what we did last time in most of these cities and just run away. Go hide somewhere, not engage. The mayors of these left-wing cities are probably going to be telling them to do that. But the cops are afraid to actually enforce the law. He was throwing a gas bomb at police officers, and he got away with a bump on the front of his head. I'm sorry, but that's a lethal weapon. Good gracious. So I'm guessing that it's only been a month and this was all decided previous. So this is a holdover from, the Biden years, but good gracious. Cops, how in the world can somebody be a cop right now? We need them. We need the good people being cops. We need to we need law and order in these blue cities, in these blue states. You couldn't pay me. I wouldn't do it for $500,000 a year. I wouldn't go be a cop in Portland. Man alive. Not to mention just how I just can't stand how litigious of a society we've become. Wow. Okay. Let's talk about the House and the budget. Oh boy. This is going to be good. If it goes through, this is going to be beautiful. House advances budget proposal with $2 trillion spending decrease on a plan to extend Trump tax cuts. I'm using the Post-Millennial a lot tonight. I love the Post-Millennial. If you guys don't read them, you need to check them out. Go subscribe to them. They're great. So the House GOP has advanced a budget resolution with $2 trillion in cuts to government spending, along with a plan to extend the 2017 Trump tax cuts and increased funding for both border security and defense by $300 billion. Now, okay. Increased funding for, I don't know how much of this is broken down to defense versus border security, but defense needs to be cut. I've said this as a guy who spent a lot of time in the DOD, and there's ample fraud, waste, and abuse. We don't lose any of our security by cutting the current budget from $880 billion, I believe we're at. Cutting it down, that's not going to hurt us. It's just not. It's not. I mean, you could shave 10%, probably 15, 20%. I don't know the exact figure, but proposing $300 billion more, the bulk of that needs to be going to the southern border, not to DOD. DOD needs to learn to live, on a leaner budget. So it says, however, that there have been tensions growing with the Senate and the House GOP on how to accomplish some of Trump's goals, many of which are included in the budget resolution. This week, in the Senate, a vote is expected on the Senate GOP's own budget proposal, which has split a spending resolution into two parts to then be pushed through via budget reconciliation. Both conferences have debated about the strategy for the last few months, and neither group is looking to break soon, the outlet reported. House GOP Chair Lisa McClain said on Fox News, quote, "What the budget resolution does is merely unlock the ability for us to go into committees to do budget reconciliation, to make transformational change, like the president talked about, and implement his full agenda. And I'm confident that House Republicans will carry through on that agenda, not only for the president, but for the American people as well." Now, Trump has said he wants it to go through as one big, beautiful bill. Fine, that's what he wants. However, I am a fan, and we need to start training our congressmen and women that we need this line item budget items. This is where we need to be going. Pick the program. It should be, Rand Paul does this. He says, here's a single page bill if you want to fund something. Make it simple. Make it as clear and concise as you can, and get on with it. Vote for that one thing and let the American people see it. When you start getting single bills, large bills, that's where the pork is hidden, and that's what we're trying to get away from. But nonetheless, they're saying that this will get pushed through all of Trump's agenda. We'll see. We'll see. Trump supports it, so I'm guessing he knows what's in it. Oh, boy. It makes me nervous. I don't know about you guys, but I prefer, give me individual bills. Let me know exactly what you're talking about. Okay, let's go to, here, let me talk about this. So as we're talking about Donald Trump, this is the next thing that I'll show you. It's a video from, I believe it was, from the CNN. You hear everybody saying, Trump is wrecking the country, his policies are destructive, his policies are terrible, this is bad, bad. Look at Trump's approval ratings. Check this out.
And the Republican Party has changed the electorate. What do I mean by that? Well, let's take a look at party identification, Democrats versus Republicans. You go back to 2017, 5 points more of the electorate was Democrats than Republicans. You go to 2021 when Joe Biden was starting out, look at that. 6 points more of the electorate was Democrats than Republicans. But look at what's happened in February of 2025. Look at this. Republicans, there are more Republicans in the electorate than there are Democrats. Republican +2. So Donald Trump and the Republicans have remade the electorate. They've turned some people over from being Democrats or independents to become Republicans. New folks have entered the electorate who are more Republican leaning. And so when you combine that with the fact that Republicans are really, really behind Donald Trump, all of a sudden you get a winning recipe whereby you break the normal rules of politics and give Donald Trump that positive net approval rating when he had pretty much a consistently negative one in term number one. As I said at the beginning, he's copying Frank Sinatra, doing it my way.
Yes, of course. People are amped up about this. They're saying, wait a second, you saved us, $5 million going to, transgender tap dance lessons in the Philippines. I'm okay with cutting that money. Keep doing it, Donald Trump. And they're on board with it. They are on board with it. He's changing. This is why RFK in his speech said that he truly believes, and I believe it too, that Donald Trump is going to be even more. He's not even done being a transformative political figure, but give him 4 years. And not to mention if we keep it in the midterms, 4 years for that guy, he will be one of the most transformative presidents we have had in the history of our country. And people are seeing that. People aren't stupid. The news likes to talk to us like we're stupid, but we're not stupid. Look, we pay attention to what's going on in this world. We're not idiots as much as they would like us to think we are. And they talk to us like idiots. And when you talk to grown adults like us as idiots, as if we're idiots, people shut you off. That's why CNN's hurting. That's why everybody's hurting. CNN, MSNBC, they're sucking right now. Life is rough. Life is rough. Okay, so the next thing we're going to talk about, this is a cultural thing. I say, keep insulting us. Keep insulting us. So this is, okay. New, a black queer woman is going to play Jesus Christ in Jesus Christ Superstar musical at Hollywood Bowl. So a black queer woman will play the part of Jesus Christ in Jesus Christ Superstar at this summer's Hollywood Bowl. Cynthia Erivo, 37, who played Elphaba in film production of Wicked, identifies as queer and bisexual. And if you didn't see her interview with not Selena Gomez, oh gosh, what was the name? Either way, with the other actress, it was the most painstakingly woke thing you've ever seen in your entire life. It's another famous Ariana Grande, that's who it was. And so in an Instagram story from Erivo, the actress said, just a little busy this summer, can't wait. Next to post from an official Broadway World announcement, the role with Erivo. The post from the page stated, Cynthia Erivo will be playing Jesus in the upcoming Hollywood production of Jesus Christ Superstar. This is how they poke people in the eye. They can't stand conservative Christians. They absolutely can't stand conservative Christians. And so they do whatever they can to try to, they say, well, you got to stand up for free speech. Yep, I agree that you have the right to do this. But you are just highlighting your disrespect for a huge chunk of the American populace. You are turning yourself off to a huge chunk of the American people. And if you want to do that, go right ahead. Continue doing this. You want to insult us? You want to try to poke fun at our religion because you know that these folks don't actually believe in Jesus Christ. They don't actually believe in Christianity. They can't, because at the core of a lot of their beliefs and a lot of the stuff that they post online is downright evil. So continue to isolate that chunk of the American populace. Go ahead. Hollywood will sink away into nothingness. The more you come after us, the more you try to insult us, poke fun at our faith, poke fun at our beliefs, go ahead. It's okay. We can handle it, first off. But you're just making an awfully bad name for yourself. For shame, for shame. Okay, I was going to talk about the plane crashes, but I'm kind of coming to the end of this. So I will say that the CEO of Delta came out. You've seen that we've had multiple plane crashes. It almost seems, well, I won't go into the conspiracy theories. My head goes to conspiracy theories, but we've had just an odd number of plane crashes, of aviation incidents, and they are all saying that this is because Donald Trump wasn't allowing the FAA to hire air traffic controllers. And even though the Trump administration has come out and said that wasn't part of any of the hiring freezes, that wasn't part of any of this, we're continuing to hire them. In fact, we're continuing to look for the best and brightest to be our air traffic controllers. They keep saying the planes are falling out of the sky because of Trump. Well, if that's the case, I guess Joe Biden was the world's best air traffic controller because I wasn't seeing a lot of these crashes when he was in office. Is that what these people expect? They expect Donald Trump to be sitting in an air traffic control tower with a headset on? Good gracious. But the CEO of Delta came out and said, no, this has nothing to do with it. We have not been affected. Delta has not been affected. The airlines have not been affected by Trump's hiring freeze. And I don't really know why it's happening. And I'm hesitant to bring up a story that I just can't quite figure out, but it seems odd that we are seeing all of these incidents. If you didn't see anything about that, let me know. I can probably pull up the video. But there was a Delta plane that was, let me see if I can find it here. If you guys can be patient for just a moment. I could just search plane crash and I'll probably have, umpteen million videos come up. But the most recent one was bad. Everybody walked away from it. Praise the Lord. Everybody walked away from it. But, here we go. Let me pull this one up. The rumors started to fly, too, that, it was some folks said, it was an all-female crew because Allegiant, I believe is who this is. They have a TikTok account. No flare. Oh, gosh. Oh, smash.
Oh, fuck. Oh, fuck.
Oh, sorry. I didn't know there was language in that. And so they said that it was an all-female crew because Allegiant had been posting these unmanned flights, is what they were calling them. So they said, hey, welcome aboard our unmanned flight, which meant the entire crew, all the pilots, everybody were women. There's no evidence of that. I haven't seen any of that yet, but just be aware that it's out there on social media. People are saying that it's an all-female crew. That hasn't been confirmed by Allegiant. That hasn't, I believe it was Allegiant. Well, it was Delta Flight, but Allegiant was their regional, if I remember correctly. So it was Delta Flight 4819. So, and then the people are going with it's DEI, it's DEI. I'm not going to go as far as to say that. However, it does seem strange that we have had such a significant number of aviation-related incidents. More to follow on that one. All right, guys. Well, I'm going to wrap this one up because we're at 45 minutes. I truly appreciate you guys joining me tonight. Do me a favor, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, hit that notification bell. You'll be notified every time I go live, every time I post a video. If you haven't checked it out, by the way, I did a video, it was over the weekend. I posted it on Monday, and it was with Osiris from Chicago Red. And it was a really, really great conversation. He's a 27, 28-year-old guy in Chicago who's the executive director of an organization that is trying to flip Chicago into a Republican stronghold. It's unbelievable what they're doing there. We had a great conversation. We talked about current events. We talked about Chicago in particular, some of the things that Chicago Red's doing. So if you don't mind, hop over there, check out that account. Also follow his account, because, you know, he took the time to hop on board with me, and we had a remote call and interview. It was great. Definitely worth a watch. So check that out. Guys, I'll see you in the next video. God bless you. God bless America.